Right, so today we're going to be looking at how we do a proper sticky header in Bricks. Bear with me a minute. I mean, I'm sure we all know how to turn sticky header on in Bricks. It's not a hard thing to do, but it can, if not done properly, cause a few little design issues and balance issues on our pages, and it can certainly cause problems if we're using these kinds of what do you call it, anchor links, where it jumps down to our content. And what we want is for that to land exactly at the top of that section, which is exactly what it does when we're using a traditional sort of static or fixed, I should say. So is it fixed? What is it? It's static, isn't it? So it flows with the page. And it takes us straight to there. That's what we want, and that's what we get with this. But when we change this to a sticky header, we lose some of this. It breaks some of these kind of elements. And so let's go and have a look at it. Let's go in first, just in case you don't know how to turn on a sticky header. Let's go and do that in Bricks. So I've got this open in an incognito window because the admin bar of WordPress causes some issues. It does with the spacing. It interferes, and so I've got it open in an incognito window so that we've got a nice clean view of it with no admin bar. So here we are. Let's start afresh. Let's go back to a page and make sure that we are exactly where we want to be. So we're on our page. We want to go to edit with Bricks and edit the header. So here's our header. We've got that in place, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings. We are going to go to template settings. We're going to go to the header section, and we're going to turn on sticky header. Right, so that's that done. What I'm also going to do while I'm here is I'm going to apply my I'm going to select my section here. I'm going to change the background color so that it's more transparent, so we can see what's going on underneath. So I'm just going to turn this all the way up to black, and let's just ramp this down. Let's just turn it so it's almost all the way transparent. But what I'm going to do is save that. Just go back in here a minute, and just so that we can be a bit more sort of realistic about this. Go settings, template settings. We'll go to header, and then I'm just going to set this to something a bit darker. I don't want it to be totally solid. I just want it to be a little transparent when we're scrolling. While it's up here, this is fine, but when we're scrolling, we want some actual height. We probably make this completely transparent in real life, but I just want you to be able to see it still for the demonstration purposes, okay? Right, so let's save that, and let's jump back to the page and see what it does. Take note of the space down the bottom here. What we should see happen now is that this here should jump up. This is just shy of 80 pixels, 77 pixels, something like that. So this should jump up now by that amount. And we should also lose, this here is going to overlap the top of this by 77 pixels. So we should lose some of the height here. And there we go. So we've got less space here now, but it didn't change the space being consumed between our content and the bottom of the hero. But the hero now ends a little sooner on the page. We've got a bigger white gap in the bottom here. So let's go and let's get this measuring tool out and just see what's going on. Just to confirm that, I'm going to measure from, I've turned on this border on my container so that you can see where the content starts. And we're going to measure, roughly speaking, what we've got. Look at the top left hand corner of the screen. We've got 272 pixels here. So from the top of our content to the bottom of the header. So let's go and measure down the bottom here now. And we're going to measure there, and we should end up with about 352, sorry. So yeah, that's right. So if we do the math, we're at 272 at the top here. I've just done a rough measurement there. 272 plus 80 gets us to 352, okay? So there's an imbalance here with this. Now when we turn this completely transparent, it probably doesn't really matter so much, I guess, in fairness, but it is this, we do want to maintain that sort of balance between our sections here. And so, you know, you've got to kind of play around this a little bit, I guess. But what I am going to assume is that we want it to end with where the natural border of this header ends. And so that's what we're going to be doing with this. So let's go now into, I'm going to be doing this using Fluent snippets. You could do this, so I'm just writing some CSS. You could do this in Core Framework. I do have Core Framework installed on this instance of WordPress, and I am using it a little. I haven't got to. There's nothing being done here which you couldn't do without it. But all we're going to do is I'll explain what we're selecting in a minute. We're just going to turn on this line here. So we're changing the top padding, and this is going to change it on every single page across our entire site. Let's update that. Let's come back to our page. Let's refresh, and we should see this jump down a little. So we're going to lose some space down here. We're going to gain some space up here. Rightio, so that's that done. I'm not sure if you can tell now, but let's go and do our measurements again. Let's measure here. So what's that? That's 312. And then that's 312 when we get there. There we go. So that's the first problem that we fixed. There's a couple of problems we've got to fix before we go away. But that does that. Now, before we move on to our second problem, let's just make this a little bit more robust. Let's go and have a little look at our CSS. So what we're doing at the moment is, before we do that, let's go and take a little look. Let's close our measuring tool. Let's right click and inspect our page, and let's have a little look at the structure of our page. So the structure of our page is we've got our header, we've got our main, which contains all of our content. Every one of our sections exists within main, and then we've got our footer. So what we want to do is, what happens if you don't have a header on a particular page? Because sometimes that's what we do. Sometimes we'll have a page with no header, sometimes we'll have a page with a different header that perhaps might be a different size. And we've got to tackle this a little bit differently. So the way we can do that is, this here is called main, and we've got this here header, and because it's a sticky header, we've got a class of sticky associated with it. So what we can do is we can come in here, and at the moment all we're doing is we're selecting main, yep, and then we're saying the first child that's a direct descendant of main. So it doesn't matter what you've got here. This is probably going to be a section, but you could have anything here. It doesn't matter. We're saying the first child of this main element, okay? And that's what the CSS is doing at the moment. But let's say we want to create a page with no header on it, like some sort of landing page. And so what we want to do is we want to select main after the header with a class of sticky. What this does is actually it fixes this problem. We can have this CSS in effect, and whether we've got a sticky header or not, because as soon as that sticky header class is removed, it will stop applying this CSS. And how we do that? Oh, what's going on there? We do header. So we're selecting the header, and we want to select the header with a class of sticky. So now what we're saying is only select header.sticky. That's the only time we're interested in this CSS. And then we need to do plus. So what we're saying is we're now selecting the immediate sibling to this. So the sibling to this header.sticky, or the immediate sibling that's called main. So it's a main element. And then we're selecting the first child. And so now if we update that and we go back to our page and we press refresh, just to confirm, we're going to double check. Remember, keeping an eye on our height property here. Just a rough one. So that is 312 and that is 312. Great stuff. And just to prove my point, I'm going to quickly Don't want to drag this video any longer than it needs to, but let's go quickly. Go and turn off our sticky header and show that that now is going to still be correct, because this now should be, let's get our measuring tool out again. We've now got a space of 349, 350, something like that. And then if we scroll down a little bit, make sure we can get to the bottom of our hero section, and this should be about 350. Yeah, 350. So by applying, let's get rid of that. By applying the CSS as we have, by making this selector header.sticky, means that we're only interested in making this change when we have a header that has a class of sticky, and we want to apply this change to the first child of main that comes after there's a sibling of this. So there's our first problem when it comes to applying a sticky header sorted. The other problem relates to, as we said before, let's go back in here and let's re-enable this. Go here now and let's refresh. When we click About Us, it's going to disappear up into here. We've got to scroll quite a way down before we get to the top of our content. Now, it's fine. In this instance, we don't lose any content, but what we do is we have that imbalance again. We've got a little gap here and a great big gap here. Hopefully nobody needs a measuring tool to prove that these two gaps are different. I hope we can all see that that's different. And that's not good design, that is. And that's not what we want. We want a nice balance. That's why we created this in the first place. We've created balance, but by leaving things as they are, we lose that which we created. So we need to fix that. And the way we're going to fix that is we're going to go back to our code and we're going to go into our fluent snippets. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a new selection. We are going to say, again, we are going to do this exact same thing, except this time we're going to say everything. Where's my star symbol? Let's use this one, is it? There we go. And what we want to say this time is we want to say, so for all of the immediate children of main, where we have a header.sticky, so this is the immediate sibling of this, okay? We want to say that we want the scroll, if only I could type, scroll margin top, let's do that, and let's do top, is going to be the same value as our header. Now we need to do something a bit more than this now, so that's that. Then that's actually going to fix it, but we're going to tidy this up a little bit and make it a bit more easy to work with. So let's update the snippet, and now when we come into here, we refresh our page. Let's go back to the top, and now when we click services, it's going to take us exactly where we want to be. Just there, look, there we go. There's do the same thing for About Us, so we're doing the same comparison, and now we maintain our balance. So that's the basics of it. That fixes it on desktop, and assuming everything stays static, okay? There's a few things we can do to neaten this up a bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to swap out these for a variable. Like I've got here, this variable here, it is from Core Framework. We don't need this. This is just a value that's coming from Core Framework, and the value is fluid, so I can't say what it is at any given page width. It's not important that it's in Core Framework, although it's coming from Core Framework. We could be using a static value here, and we could be using a different variable as well. This is how I'm setting my top and bottom padding on my setup. But how you set your top and bottom padding, however you do that, is what you want to replicate in this space. But variables are a good thing. We like variables, and the reason being is we're going to go up here. We're going to talk about media queries in a minute. You can see I've set a header height, the standard header height. We do : root, and so we've got that, and we're saying the header height of 77.66 pixels. I'll show you we got to that number in a minute. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy that, we're going to come down here and we're going to apply that here. We're going to say plus VAR, and then we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to do the same thing here. And the reason why this is useless is because we ain't got to keep remembering. If anything changes, we've only got to change it in one place. So we've got that, and if we wanted to change it, we just change it here. But that's where the media queries come in. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me just go and what was I going to do? So that's that done. Let's just go and check that's still working as expected. Let's refresh our page. Everything's still in the same place. Just going to confirm that with a quick measure. There's that. It's a rough and ready one that's saying 311, but I think it should be 312 if I'd landed right on the button. Yeah, 312. So that's cool. And we do about us. Yep, we scroll to the exact right place. Brilliant stuff, yeah? So there we go. We've got some variables in place so that we can manage that more easily, okay? So now let's talk about how this might change across different screens. And I said I was going to tell you how I got the height of this. So let's go and right click, inspect, and we're going to hover over our header. Where is it? There it is. And as you can see there in the top left, we've now got a little pop over that's telling us it is 1781 pixels wide and 77.66 pixels high. Let's go and turn on responsive mode and let's look at it on iPad. Let's just move that over there out your way a minute. And let's go with our header. Now it's saying that on iPad, it's 73.16 pixels high. So let's go in here and let's change that. I think this is the right one. 70. What did I say? Well, 73.6, didn't I say? 73.16. 73.16. And then let's go and change it to an iPad. Not an iPad, sorry, an iPhone. iPhone 12 Pro. What's the height now? And hovering over our header, we now got 64.66 pixels. And why is this all important? If we click on that now, see we've got a gap at the moment, yeah? So let's go and fix that. And I think we've got too many breakpoints in here, really. I think we want max. Yeah, let's do that one. Should that one do it? What did I say it was? Hero, header, sorry. 64.66. 64.66. Right here. So now what we've got is we've got dynamic heights for our header. We now, that's wrong there. We want that to be the same as that. There we go. So that's that done. And you've got to kind of work with your media queries. These are just some examples that I just put in there. I'm going to get rid of this one. Use just some examples. Yeah, you need to get them right for you. And hopefully I've got them right here now. I should have checked that beforehand, but there we go. Let's now refresh that page. About Us is now lining up perfectly. Yeah. So services, just a little nudge up, and it exposes the section above. About Us, and then we got back at the top. Yeah. And I can't measure this with this measuring tool. I'm obviously missing something, but because I've got the touch controls are in place, it won't let me measure. So, but this year should now be balanced with this here, and I think this is kind of enough of a check to prove that that's working. So, as you can see, all we had to do was apply this one line here. We would apply a second line here. Obviously, we've got these lines as well, the selectors, so it's more than one line. And then for each breakpoint, we've got this one liner here. And this should solve all of your sticky header problems and get your design looking just right, perfectly balanced. Anyway, if you like the video, You know what to do. Like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Thanks, guys. Peace out. See you soon.